Just a quick video to test out my new microphone. When making videos, getting the sound right I always find that very tricky. So I'm having a play with this microphone and the various editing software to see how it goes. So to give me something to talk about, I thought I'd introduce Skynet. So this is my small cluster that I have in my office. On the top here we have the prototype for the Sys2 hardware. So that's based around 4 Raspberry Pis, a MikroTik router, and a switch. At the moment I'm not using that, but maybe for Pi-hole or something, we'll have to see for that. Underneath that we have the SD card cloning machine. So it's a basic i5 box with 6 SD card writers hidden at the back there. Then we've got a KVM switch, so allow me to switch the monitors and keyboards and mouses from the various machines, VGA only I'm afraid. Then we've got 2 gigabit switches, so it's cheaper to buy 2 8-port switches than one 16, so that's what I went for. Then we've got our patch cables that allow us to connect the various machines together to these switches. Then I've got a 100 megabit switch underneath. I think it's a 24-porter. That's mainly for the Raspberry Pis, so they can connect to an internal network. At the moment, that's not being used, but when I'm testing out big Raspberry Pi networks, that's a handy switch to have. Then I have my 4 main boxes. They're a mixture of i7s, so I think there's some 4th gen and 7th gen i7s in there. Going from right to left, we have my Windows 10 box, my Linux box, Proxmox box, and a Docker box. So the Proxmox box is for running virtual machines, so I've got images of various Xilinx software on there that I use when I'm doing FPGA work. The Docker box is general messing around, testing out different ideas. The Linux box is normally my batch processing box, so if I'm running long stuff, that kind of runs overnight if I'm doing some processing. And my Windows 10 box is mostly used for testing out lab scripts, so it's a clone of the image that's in the lab. Underneath those we have an old 4U rack, a full length case here, so I replaced the server grade power supplies because they're too whiny with a ATX 750 watt power supply. Originally I did have this set up as a NAS, so network attached storage with around about 10 500 gig discs. Yeah, all worked fine, but 10 hard discs makes a lot of noise. So I changed my mind on that one. Now it's my 3D processing box. So it's got a Ryzen 7 2700X in there with a couple of NVIDIA cards, 1070s I think. So if I'm doing any photogrammetry or 3D rendering, Blender work, that sort of stuff, I tend to run that on that machine. As always, any server box is judged on its cabling, and if we look around the back here, I don't think it's too bad. I try to keep it reasonably neat, so you can see the cables kind of go in the same direction, but yeah, the cabling could have been a lot neater. But isn't that always the case? So it's not too bad here, I don't think, but if you look at the back, well, we do have a few piles of cables which we can hide when we push the machine back into the corner. Well, there you go, a small insight to the madness that is my office.